Coming up on the FTC Open Alliance Show, 3188 Squiggle Splat Bang. What a great name. For Wyoming is on to talk about their progress. They get a lot of really cool stuff going on. This team has a lot of great ambition, going with a turreted adjustable shooter. I'm very excited to talk more about that. We'll be looking at their intake prototypes they're doing as well too, diving a lot more into CAD and talking about some of their cool outreach and nonprofit initiatives that they have available that your team might want to get involved with as well too. So let's learn more about their progress coming up here on the FTC Open Alliance Show. This video on fun is brought to you by our viewers, supporters, members, and also in partnership with the following. True competitors know that every second counts. That's why Kettering University challenges you to dive in right away as a first-year student. Participating in robotics programs helps Kettering students secure a valuable co-op. Whatever your interests, Kettering gives you more space to work faster and win faster. Learn more at kettering.edu/first. AndyMark is your one-stop shop for all things FTC. Teams who are looking for inspiration in DECODE can check out AndyMark's Robotics Core Kit and FTC Starter Bot, which are designed with usability and accessibility in mind. And check out some of their new components suitable for any FTC robot. Head on over to AndyMark.com to find solutions that fit your team. Let's welcome into the FTC Open Alliance Show 3188 Squiggle Splat Bang. That's a great name coming out of Wyoming. Welcome in. There is so much to talk about here today, but first, why don't you introduce yourselves, listen to what you do on the team, and let's jump right into some of the cool stuff you're going to be showing.
Okay, so I'm Mason Coombs, and I am the captain.
I'm Kat Wrights. I am also one of the captains.
I'm Elias, and I mainly do some CAD stuff.
Oh, I'm Wesson, and I'm the assistant engineer.
Hello, I'm Matthew, and I help build what Elias CADs.
Do you want to jump into our intake right here?
So this is a prototype of what our intake on our bot is going to look like. It is going to be attached to the drivetrain, which is currently in process of being built. So this is just going to spin, and it's going to intake the artifacts, and it's going to be a little higher than this. But it's going to intake the artifacts through here, and so it's going to intake artifacts through here, and it's going to go into our turret, which is also still in the process of being designed.
Yeah, so we decided to start off with the rubber band intake in the beginning. We saw a lot of FTC teams do this through Instagram. So we decided why not to give it a shot. So far, it's actually worked pretty well. As you can see here, if we turn it, you don't even need to connect it by an axle. And then you just go up, and it goes out like that. So we're using this because we think that this is kind of an FTC meta of what would be good. So,
have you tried any other ones yet, or are there any other in consideration currently for you?
Yes. So right now in our new drivetrain that we're going to design, we're going to kind of have still a rubber band like this, but we're going to put the FRC, AndyMark kind of sells a conveyor belt system right here, and then you just put that together, and then we'll have this conveyor belt up into our turret. So that's kind of what else we're considering, but right now this is just our testing stage, and we kind of use this for the inexperienced members to just kind of get a feel of FTC and what it's like to get a challenge underneath themselves.
Yeah, so this is one of our ways of including some of our more junior members with the engineering process without overloading them with how complicated it can get sometimes.
And you mentioned in terms of drive that you're looking at some options for that. So what are you looking at doing for that?
So our first drivetrain was super small because we expected it to be kind of another transfer type of game. So we had a Go Build a Starter Magnum pack last year. That worked pretty well, but we decided that we wanted to use Misarumi slides. So we designed our drivetrain, and it was only about like 16 inches long and about 10 inches wide. So obviously that wouldn't work for a game like DECODE, where you have to have this ginormous shooter up there and can't extend out. So we're looking at using Swift wheels right now. I know that we've seen that from other teams on Open Alliance, and we actually thought that was a pretty good idea in order to kind of have a dual intake system, which is what we plan to do with our bot.
Yeah, it's also better for space efficiency for our turret so that we don't have motors sticking up anywhere. or wheels sticking out, and we just felt that it was more efficient for how our bot is going to be maneuvering.
And I know you're going to be going into your turret in just a little bit, but what are maybe some of the other objectives that your team is looking to accomplish for DECODE as well, too, like as you're kind of putting together your strategy and some of your initial prototypes?
So I would say one of our big objectives that we want to accomplish is having a turret that can shoot at first, just by the end of October. Every single season, we start off in the beginning of the year by having everybody draw down an idea on a piece of paper, and then we vote for which one is the best one.
Nice.
And then we try it, and if it doesn't work, then we try something else. We figured that out after our center stage season. We found it worked pretty well, so I'd recommend any FTC teams who are kind of lost, just have everybody make an idea and then just vote on that. So, yeah. Plan on having that working, and we also are trying to win the Inspire Award for Wyoming too.
Yeah, so we're also focusing on a lot of outreach and how we can help our community and how we can do more than just build robots.
Yep. Okay. So I think that pretty much concludes it for the rubber band intake. I would like to go on to our first turret design right here. Let's put up. Okay. So for our first design, we obviously wanted a turret in order to reach all parts of the field, because in FTC, when you're shooting something like this in a shooting game, you can either rotate your robot to hit the goal, or you could rotate a mechanism like your hood to hit the goal up there. So we obviously from the start decided that a shooter would be very good for this season. So I'd just like to walk you through our first design. Our first design isn't that pretty, but it would be pretty effective in moving. We decided to use an Andy Mark turret right here because we were going to use the bearing for that. We had a different bearing that wasn't big enough and it didn't have the CAD, and it was just too much of a pain to CAD out. So we decided to buy the Andy Mark bearing, and for only like $20 more, you could get the whole kit. So we decided to buy the kit. So on here, it just moves by a gear on the servo, which we decided should be enough to move it around. If not, we are going to add a second one. This one is elevated right here. Oops. Is elevated obviously on that spot in order to not hit anything in the back. And we use, let me go over here. And we use a motor mount back here, just so that we can keep those wheels spinning. A major thing with a turreted design is that you want to make sure that you always have a way to connect the power on your robot. So, for example, you wouldn't want this rocket to be moving halfway this way if the hood adjusted, and this to move, the other way. That would be pretty bad, and that obviously wouldn't work. So we decided to just put a motor mount at the back.
Yeah, and we've also put a lot of thought since we have a lot of moving parts, on whether or not those moving parts are going to be actually touching other important like technology such as the motor or gears or other things that should not be interfered with.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to ask you a question on this current turret design. I was looking at your flywheels that you have in there. They look like they're a little offset from each other. Is that like an intentional thing that you found in like testing, that you're trying to add spin or anything like that?
So we actually have another team, one of our sister teams tested it out, and they found out that it is better for spin, and that it flies higher up at a higher angle, especially since this one doesn't move. We would want to kind of have it at a higher angle up so we can make potentially more shots from across the field.
But you mentioned you're looking at a totally different design. I know you posted on your blog on Cheap Delphi earlier as well too. So what about this didn't fully meet your requirements that you wanted to go with a different design?
Well, obviously, I would say the hood doesn't move up and down. We were watching other FTC Alliance shows, and we saw a hooded shooter, and we thought that was pretty neat. And it should be able to, because if you just kind of have a turret that doesn't have a hood that moves up and down, it really just gets rid of the benefits of a turret, because then you're still going to have to stay in the certain points on the field in order to shoot, instead of what a turret is supposed to meant to be, where you can shoot anywhere on the field. So
Yes.
we decided had an adjustable hood there. That's
And-
pretty much our only problem with it.
Yeah, it's mainly a choice of efficiency. We found that bots are more competitive. The less you have to align things, the less you have to move the bot in order to score from different positions. So we as a team decided that it was better to be more efficient at one spot than have to move to multiple spots in order to do things.
Yep, and even if we do have an alliance partner, because I know last year at Worlds there's many bots who could only run sample, so we wanted to design a bot that can run from anywhere, just like our bot last year that could run sample and specimen.
Well, you got to show us your second now iteration or intake on that. I saw some initial pictures posted on Chief Delphi, but I'm really looking forward to seeing more of a tour of what you're doing as well too. Can you tell us more about it?
Oh yeah, of course. Let me move over here. Just let it load. Okay, so we obviously wanted to put a limelight on our turret as well in order to kind of auto lock with the DECODE April tags. We figured that would be a really good idea, just so that when we're driving, it puts less pressure on the driver in order to, manually aim it.
Yeah, and just along the same lines of the more we can turn certain actions into autonomous actions, the more efficient we will actually be in gameplay.
Yes, so that's why we chose to have a limelight this year. I know a lot of other teams are doing it, so we'll try and see how that kind of aligns for us. First part I would like to go over is the servo mount. Obviously, Andy Mark doesn't fit a servo that, such as Swift or anything like that. The holes don't align with their servo mounts, and the gear was offset a little bit, so it wasn't able to mesh with the turret correctly. So we made a pretty simple servo mount for this. We're just gonna drill some holes there and then attach it to the servo mount. It's pretty basic, and we are totally gonna 3D print this gear too, so that it matches the rev profile. Next thing I'd like to go on is why our turret is elevated. Obviously it's elevated because we don't want to hit anything in the back of the gear, and it allows the ball a little bit more travel time in order to go up through the hood. It also allows us to have some easier angles. Like if we wanted to add a part that mounted right here, then we could, since it's elevated. Okay, so we'll go on the hooded rack and pinion right here. Oh, wrong way. So obviously with the last design, we didn't want, we wanted a hood that moved. So we decided to use a hooded rack and pinion based on other FTC Open Alliance teams that we saw. This is a simple concept. We just have a Swift servo right here that is connected to an arch rack right here. And when the servo gears move up, and how we achieve this is we use an axle for two mechanisms here. We learned this from our arm mount last year for our telescoping arm. But basically we put a bearing in here, and then so this part, the hood, is able to move freely. Well, we can power the flywheel on the same axle, and that just kind of adds a thing of redundancy. So if things fail, it should be fine, and we can run off less axles. Another thing we'd like to talk about is our limelight mount. Obviously, we didn't have this on the last turret. We decided to do this kind of for just to auto aim on the turret, because I know a lot of teams have been talking about that, so we wanted to give it a shot right here. We're gonna have to see how the angle moves on this, but we hope that we're able to get the April tag kind of located on there.
So has your team gone the route of doing like a turret and a hooded shooter before or anything like that, or is this kind of a first or new thing for you all?
This is more of a new thing for us. Most of the other games in the last 3+ years have been more ARM-based, and we've just been able to at least minimally recycle ideas or use help from other teams that have done this before. But this year, since we're not actually using an arm and we're actually launching projectiles, it is very different than most of the other games that we've seen.
So
Yeah.
to lead into that, then, like, going through this process so far is obviously it can be very ambitious, but also very rewarding as well too. What advice do you maybe have for other teams who are like, hey, I also want to try something like this? Like, what is maybe the number one thing you've learned so far that you can pass on to other teams who might be also trying this for the first time?
I would definitely start off with get a good turret that moves first before you start building stuff on top of it. Because that is going to be mainly the main part about how your mechanism moves. And obviously, if your turret is just misaligned and doesn't move or mesh at all, then your whole shooter isn't going to work.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to take inspiration from other machines that actually exist
Mhm.
in our world. Like, for instance, the wheels that we use to shoot our balls out of the turret are inspired by Frisbee launchers and tennis ball launchers that are very efficient at their job.
I would also look at the shooting game. I believe it was 2020, and get inspiration from Robots there. Because I know we're taking some inspiration from Clueless that season in order to kind of get this. And look at all the resources that you can. We're going to be publishing our CAD around in about a week. We just want to make sure that it works a little bit so you guys can use it as an example to CAD it out.
And when does the manufacturing process for this look to be starting for your team?
So we recently got a small CNC machine. So we haven't really learned how to do that yet. We've focused with 3D prints before. So this is going to be kind of our first time CNCing aluminum for the side plates over here.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing all that come together. Like, this obviously is really cool, and I can't wait to see some of this. So make sure you are following along on the build log for that process as well too.
Yes.
Anything else robot-wise you want to talk about, or do you want to jump into some of your community initiatives that your team's doing?
Well, I would just kind of talk about our plan for the season. Obviously, I would say to beginner rookie teams, Open Alliance is a very good source. So look at the bots from that in order to find intakes and a drivetrain. Drivetrain is very important this year. You want a big drivetrain that's basically meaning 18 by 18 because you can't extend. So you want all that room so you can just fit as much parts in there as possible. Other than that, we would like to move on to the outreach.
Yeah.
So on the website, talk about the non-profit.
Should I start that?
Yep.
So in Wyoming, especially, and we realized as we went to different competitions, a lot of the other teams, their robots are just don't have as much stuff due to either lack of funds, lack of mentorship, lack of tools, all that type of stuff. So that is why we started the SSB Robotics nonprofit initiative, so that we can provide in-kind grants for new FTC teams as well as existing teams.
Yep.
Also sharing our resources like the CAD files that Mason just talked about, and just in general just help people become better at this type of stuff.
Yep. So we saw this 2 years ago, is when we started this. Well, when we first saw the problem, and then we first started it as a fiscal sponsorship through Hack Club, but now we're our official 501c3. The goal of this is to basically just have rural areas around the world have access to funding that they really wouldn't have otherwise, and direct mentorships, like, for example, CAD over here.
So if a team wants to get involved with this, they go to your website, and then what do they do?
We do have a contact information if you want to go to that tab. That pretty much just has our email over there. I would wait around a month to kind of contact us, because right now we are in the process of making a WordPress website instead of just using Google Sites, so it looks a little bit more professional.
And we're also working on some coding tutorials on YouTube for how to do set points, how to set up code, because we are aware that a lot of teams don't have access to that kind of person. They might not have a computer science teacher at their school. And I, for one, when I first started, had no idea what to do. And I felt like I was really helped through Java the Hutt's YouTube tutorials, and we felt like we should create some that are more specific to Wyoming robotics.
Yeah.
Well, 3188, lots of great stuff going on here. Obviously, a very complete team. If I recall, last year you took one of the Inspire Awards that helped get you to championships, as well as I think winning the Wyoming State Championship as well too. So we look forward to seeing continued progress amongst your team. Anything else that you want to highlight or talk about before we let you go?
Yeah, just one more thing. We do offer a judging support program. So this is basically where we know that a lot of teams don't even know what to do with judging, like, at all.
And Wyoming does not have any competitions other than state that actually do judging.
Yeah,
So we don't get practice with that either.
at all. So we decided to just we added a thing that was inspired from Curiosity, where people can send in their judging recorded YouTube videos, and we will review it with a 2-page write-up. We're trying to get contact with an old Dean List finalist who was on our team in around 2016 in order to kind of review that. And we're also going to have one of our team members who isn't currently here right now, placed 8th nationally for prepared speaking in US Skills USA. So we're going to have them kind of record that and really just give you guys the best feedback that we can.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you can find that website at ssbrobotics.org if you're interested in finding more information about them. And of course, for 3180 or 3188, make sure you also check out their FTC Open Alliance build blog over on Chief Delphi and ftcopenalliance.org. Thank you so much for taking time. We look forward to continually following your progress throughout the season. I can't wait to see this turret all come together. I think it's going to be really exciting, and best of luck the rest of the way.
No, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much for having us.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell to stay up to date on future fun videos. AndyMark is your one-stop shop for all things FTC. Teams who are looking for inspiration in DECODE can check out AndyMark's Robotics Core Kit and FTC Starter Bot, which are designed with usability and accessibility in mind. And check out some of their new components suitable for any FTC robot. Head on over to andymark.com to find solutions that fit your team. True competitors know that every second counts. That's why Kettering University challenges you to dive in right away as a first-year student. Participating in robotics programs helps Kettering students secure a valuable co-op. Whatever your interest, Kettering gives you more space to work faster and win faster. Learn more at kettering.edu/first.